Bulgaria is the oldest country in Europe. At least partly something called Bulgaria has existed. I mean, this is Sofia. Parts of this wasn't in Bulgaria, then was in Bulgaria, then wasn't in Bulgaria. Then they made it the capital city for some reason. But first things first, there's meant to be some magical water around here. So I'm going to try and hunt it down. Apparently it'll cure what ails you. I've got some ailments. Does it help with mental health? I've seen a lot of people go to these thermal springs, get the healing water. I've only got a bottle of Coke, but I have cleaned it out. The water's really warm. There's been a bunch of people go up and get water and stuff, filling big jugs. So I feel like this is okay. It's almost hot, honestly. It smells a bit like thermal water. I'm gonna have a bit now. I wonder how medicinal it is. I mean, if I'm here, I might as well get a top. Excellent, what a way to start the day. Can't go wrong with a bit of magical, blessed, healing water. People swear by it. It's gotta be great. I will say, I have hurt my back. It feels all right now. Is that the placebo effect at work? Or, dare I say, I've been healed? It does feel better. So this is the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral. Basically, one of the main symbols of Bulgaria, of Sofia. There's tour groups out front, lots of people looking at it. It's one of the biggest churches in the world. Absolutely impressive. However, what I wanted to see was this church, which is just across the road from it, which is the St. Sofia Church. And the reason I wanted to see this one is because this is where Sofia gets its name, because when you were walking towards Serdica or Sofia, if you didn't know the name of the place, you'd just go, oh, from the hill, you could see this, we're on a bit of a hill now, you could see this church as you're walking towards town, and you'd go, oh, just over there, that's where Sofia is. Because they meant this church, the Church of St. Sofia. Well, that's where the name of the city came from. Basically, it's a colloquial term, and everyone started calling it Sofia because they could see this church in the distance. So this is cool, I think. I mean, yeah, we could go see the big cathedral, but this is history. I mean, that's history as well, I know that, but people on the distance seeing Sofia for hundreds and hundreds of years, they see this as a beacon of hope, a beacon of civilization is just around the corner, just over this hill. And we'll be in Sofia soon. So I like that. I mean, it is a pretty impressive cathedral. I can't deny that. So where Sofia was, the old town used to be called Serdica, and the main metro station is at Serdica too. And when you go to the metro station, you are welcomed by all of this. When they were digging it up, the station, they just unearthed a bunch of history. That's what happens when you dig old towns. Because Serdica goes back a long time. In fact, Constantine wanted to make it the capital of the Holy Roman Empire. That church is 1,000 years old. Just kind of in the metro station now. So this is all the ruins that they found under Serdica station. You can see like the way that they heated the floors. You can see all the buildings. It's like a whole complex. Unearthing the actual old ancient roads that people would have walked down. There's a road here that leads all the way to Constantinople, or at least used to, of which these are the gates. Pretty amazing, honestly. Thinking about all the people who've headed out down that way in the past. It's kind of nice that you can still walk that way now if you want. It's all been unearthed. It's a real connection with history. This is what you're dealing with, right? Get your metro ticket, go for your train, ancient ruins, go up the escalator, a bunch more ancient ruins. A lot of the mosques in Sofia, there's not that many that are working. This is one of the only ones that actually is a working mosque. And the reason not a lot of them are working was because part of the liberation effort was fill a lot of the minarets with dynamite, wait for it to be a thunderstorm like we had last night, blow it up, and then say it was an act of God. But the Banyabashi Mosque managed to survive. Not all the other mosques who are quite so lucky. It's kind of testament to the turbulent nature of Sofia's history and the Bulgarian history in general. A history fraught with a lot of people just really trying to be Bulgarian. During the communist time of Bulgaria, this was the presidential residency, the presidential palace, and it wasn't built here by accident or mistake. It was built here because inside is the oldest building in Sofia, which is a church, which we're going to go to now. You can't film inside, but it's no coincidence that this was built here because it's mainly because a show of force to religion in the country. Presidential communist place, right, literally completely surrounding the oldest church. I mean, that church has been there for 2,000 years almost, and it's survived lots of different problems, earthquakes, wars, bombings. It's kind of like it's meant to be there. So inside that, the St. George Rotund Church, which has been there since the 4th century, there's 5 layers of different ages of frescoes and stuff, so you can see history as you look further and further up. But there's also the relics of Bulgaria, the holy relics of Bulgaria, of John of Rila inside, which have got a fun story about their history. This bishop that lost the ability to speak because he was doing indecent things with the relics, to the relics, with the relics, I'd rather not know. Whatever it was bad enough for God to say, no more speaking for you, Mr. Bishop. Kind of want to see the relics, if I'm honest. All the other fun stuff that are underneath old churches like that, you know? So there's this tradition in Bulgaria where on the 1st of March everyone gives out friendship bracelets. They're called matthewjudeinfo bracelets, I think. And what you do is you give them out to people who are your friends or anyone that you see. Give them out to as many people as possible. It's like a Mardi Gras for everyone. Little bracelets. I'm thinking about you. You then put them onto the first blooming tree that you see. And this tree happens to be one of the first trees that blooms around here. So you can see it's covered in the matthewjudeinfo bracelets. I think that's a nice little tradition where you give out friendship bracelets and bracelets saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. I like that one. I kind of think it's a good symbol to show that the year's going to be good, that spring is going to come again, life's going to bloom, and things can be good for the rest of the year. When Prince Alexander Dukov got here, he was like, look, we need to pave some of these streets, because that was a thing that wasn't a thing in Bulgaria. Certainly in Sofia, which is a new city for a capital. Wasn't a new city, but a new capital, put it that way. So they thought, we'll pave the streets. So Todorov, who was the mayor of this city, said, well, not only will we pave the streets, we'll make them look unique. We'll pave them in gold. We'll make them look gold. So this yellow brick was used. Originally, they wanted to use yellow brick from Bulgaria. Couldn't do that. Had to get yellow brick from like Austria and Germany. They took out a 50-year loan for 35 million leva, because the people of Bulgaria and Sofia were not happy about that, or wouldn't have been happy about that. But they got away with it by saying that it was a gift. Turns out it wasn't a gift. It was a really expensive present for yourself, and that's how all these streets got paved with yellow. I mean, it's a cheeky thing to do at the time, but now they do look unique. I think Todorov was misguided, but right, you know, I think they're kind of lovely. Oh yeah, they were a gift. I didn't buy them myself. I wouldn't be that reckless with my money. Honestly, the history of... God damn it. Honestly, the history of Bulgaria can be a little bit spotty. Before around 800 AD, that's mainly because the Slavic people didn't have a way to write anything down. They didn't have an alphabet. That all changed thanks to these guys, Cyril and Methodius. I mean, they're recognized as the saints of Europe, and they were by the Pope, but there's a reason that their statue is outside of the Cyril and Methodius National Library rather than outside of a church. And while they did fundamentally help bring Christianity to the Balkans, to the Kiev and the Rus and all that, what they really helped do is bring written language to the region. They're born in Thessaloniki in Greece, which was at the time part of the Byzantine Empire. So they ended up going on this mission to Moravia, which is part of the Czech Republic essentially now. And they helped to bring a bit of Christianity to that region. And they do it so successfully because they bring the Gladolinic language. They write this new language, this new alphabet. This all goes super well. They also, for some reason, find some relics of St. Clemens. I think they bring his bones back to Rome at some point. They go off, they have all these disciples, and what their disciples ends up kind of creating is the Cyrillic alphabet. That's why it's called the Cyrillic alphabet, because of Cyril. So a lot of people might say that, oh, Bulgaria, they use the Russian alphabet, which is not the case. In Russia, they use the Bulgarian alphabet. The alphabet that they created, that having Cyrillic, is so important. There's a national holiday for the alphabet in Bulgaria. It defines the Slavic history, because before that, a lot of things you hear about the history of Bulgaria is that we don't know much because nothing was written down. The whole of the Balkans, the whole of Russia, Ukraine, owe a lot to Cyril and Methodius. While they're the patron saints of Europe. Rightly so, I think. Good old King Samuel, with his crazy eyes. They say it's got more steel than the Eiffel Tower. At least, that's something that Bulgarians seem to be proud of. Who knows? It's the Palace of Culture. It's a communist cultural building, and it certainly has communist cultural building written all over it. I feel like it's pretty ugly, but the grounds are lovely, and inside's meant to be very impressive as well. I do quite like this palisade, but the actual building has some telltale marks of communism behind it. Did you spot the mistake? That is not how lions walk, apparently. The other one, that is how lions walk, but the first one isn't. I don't know why these two statues are different, but they are. This is the Svetska Nedelya Church, I think that's how it's pronounced, and it's special because in April of 1925, I think, let's go check the sign, I think it even says on here, April 16th, 1925, there was a communist plot to try and kill the Tsar. The plot was pretty smart, actually, even though it did go hilariously wrong. A lot of people did die though, so bear that in mind. What they did was, they decided to kill a general. Now, you'd think if you want to kill the Tsar, you just kill the Tsar, but the best way to do that, and the whole family, is to kill a general. What they did, they assassinated a general, knowing that the funeral would be held at that church. Let's go find a better look at it. So they knew that the funeral would be held at that church, and that the Tsar would be there. So, what they did was plant a bunch of dynamite in the church, which, I tell you, it's not a completely uniquely Bulgarian thing, but it's been the go-to plan quite a few times. They planted a bunch of dynamite in here, and then blew the whole thing sky high. However, the Tsar wasn't here, because he was at another church, at a funeral of another general that had also been assassinated. They tried too hard, and it ended up not working out quite as well. I mean, we all know the communists got there in the end, but not this way. Time to test out this healing thermal springs water. I wish it was still warm. It was boiling hot coming out of the tap, but it's not as warm now. It's real cold. Let's get this rubbed in. Okay, I'm going to put some on my back, because that's where I'm injured. Oh, it's quite refreshing. Guess I'll let that soak in for a minute. I'll let you know if I get healed.